Bill Skelton, Frank Seymour, Bill Skelton DSO Bar, DFC, and Bar 26, August 19, 2024, May 2003 became, with Branse Burbridge, a highly successful British night fighter team during the Second World War, and was later ordained an Anglican priest. Early life. Frank Seymour Skelton, always known as Bill, was born in Pirbright, Surrey, to Ronald Seymour Skelton and Dorothy Lucy, daughter of Thomas Ward-Drute, and educated at Blundell's School. His father, a descendant of the 8th Duke of Somerset, was a garden designer who died when Skelton was 15, and the remainder of his time at Blundell's was financed by relations including his cousin, the 17th Duke of Somerset, who employed Skelton as a page to carry his coronet at the coronation of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. His uncle was Henry Aylmer Skelton, Bishop of Lincoln, 1942–53. Second World War. Skelton enlisted in the Royal Air Force RAF in 1940 and was commissioned the following year to rise to the rank of acting squadron leader. Known as the Nighthawk Partners, Skelton as navigator and Burbridge as pilot were officially credited with destroying 21 enemy aircraft, one more than Group Captain Cat's Eyes Cunningham. Skelton's brilliance with airborne radar over Britain and Germany was recognized with the awards of a DFC Bar in 1944 and a DSO Bar in 1945. The citations of both Skelton and Burbridge referred to them setting an unsurpassed example of outstanding keenness and devotion to duty. Skelton and Burbridge first flew together in the Baby Blitz, which involved a series of German Lightning hit and run bombing attacks by high-performance Focke-Wulf FW-190 FWs during spring 1943. The following May, the pair were posted as members of No. 85 Squadron to 100 Group, whose aircraft, equipped to carry out electronic countermeasures, escorted 4-engined bombers over Germany. On 4 November 1944, Skelton maneuvered Burbridge so skillfully onto his German targets that the pair shot down 2 Ju-88 night fighters. They then craftily joined enemy aircraft circling the Bonhoeffer airfield and claimed a Bf-110 and another Ju-88. Despite heavy damage, their stricken Mosquito was coaxed back to base. Post-war. When the war ended, both Skelton and Burbridge left the Royal Air Force and studied theology, Burbridge at Oxford and Skelton at Cambridge. Skelton read history and theology at Trinity Hall, Cambridge, and came under the influence of Launcelot Fleming, the Dean, a distinguished Royal Navy chaplain during the war and later Bishop of Norwich. Skelton, a moderate evangelical, completed his training for the ministry at Ridley Hall, Cambridge. From 1950 to 1952, Skelton was a curate at Ormskirk, Lancashire, then returned to Cambridge as chaplain of Clare College. The dean at this time was John Robinson, later to become a controversial Bishop of Woolwich, who had a special concern for church reform. Skelton shared in devising one of the early new ways of celebrating the Eucharist and also in the reordering of the college chapel to make this possible. But his primary responsibility was pastoral work among the undergraduates, and he exercised this more widely in the Cambridge pastorate. Also at Cambridge then, as vicar of Great St. Mary's, the University Church, was Mervyn Stockwood, who remembered Skelton as the most handsome boy at Blundell's School when he visited the school as its missioner. When Stockwood and Robinson moved to Southwark, where they founded South Bank Religion, Skelton, whose own beliefs were now becoming more liberal, followed them. From 1959 to 1969, Skelton was rector of the large parish of Bermondsey where, aided by 4 curates, he carried out a vigorous pastoral ministry with much civic involvement throughout the area. He brought to this work the same meticulous approach that had characterized his wartime exploits. In 1963, he became one of Bishop Stockwood's honorary chaplains, which mainly involved walking with him on Saturday afternoons. 2 years later, Skelton was appointed rural dean of Bermondsey. Stockwood tried, but failed to persuade him to become suffragan Bishop of Kingston upon Thames, and later Skelton declined the offer of the bishopric of Liverpool. In the circumstances this was probably wise, for in 1969 he had a severe emotional breakdown. On his recovery, Skelton decided not to return to the direct service of the Church, and became director of the Lambeth Endowed Charities. Over the next 16 years, he administered with considerable flair an old housing estate, almshouses, and several other charities, laying the foundations of their present financial strength. He also became involved in the charitable work of the Worshipful Company of Coopers, of which he was a liveryman for many years. Skelton served as master in 1985, and was associated with St. Botolph's Church, Aldgate, which provided him with a spiritual home in retirement. Skelton was unmarried, but for the last 21 years of his life he found emotional fulfillment with his close friend Christopher Eldridge. References